One of our core values, the Butterball way, is doing the right thing. We do the right thing for our people, the safety of our people, the safety of our products, and the care and well-being of our birds.
The recipes that you guys put out there and just the overall passion that I see when I watch you guys interact with customers face to face. Like, you guys truly love what you do. You provide a great solution for the districts out there, all great human beings, and I just love being able to call you guys my friends.
And I thought, I have found my passion. I found the market that I want to be in. It's because when you're doing something you love and you're really passionate about, it's really not like work.
All right, so we are here, another episode of the NextUp Podcast, and we are hanging out with Butterball today. So let's get some introductions. I think everybody probably already knows Frank because you're always on camera at conferences, and we've done a podcast together. But go ahead and give me a bit of an introduction, your backstory. Actually, just the intro, and then we'll go into Dr. Alice, and then we'll get some backstories. How about that?
Sounds good.
Let's go.
So, yeah, I'm in year 34 of my K-12 career. I've been in the poultry industry for 19 of those 34 years. And I do head up the K-12 sales efforts. I'm the national program manager for our K-12 division.
So you sound like a very busy man, conferences all the time, school visits, all that stuff, right?
Yes.
All right. Sounds like fun. That's why everybody probably knows you.
Absolutely.
All right. And Dr. Alice, so I'm super excited to be sitting here chatting with you. The moment you walked in, you came in like a firecracker full of energy. And I'm like, this is going to be a fun episode. So tell me a little bit about you.
Well, I'm Alice Johnson. And first of all, I want to thank both you and Frank for giving me this opportunity. As you said, I'm pretty passionate about what we do at Butterball. I'm Alice Johnson. I'm the Senior VP of Food Safety, Quality, and I also have Animal Care and Wellbeing as part of my department.
That sounds like a lot.
It's a lot, but it's a lot of fun as well.
Yeah.
Got a lot of good people, and Butterball is a very good company and takes a lot of pride in what they do. So I'm really fortunate to have the opportunity to do what I do.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a blessing. Now, I'm sure a lot of work went into getting to the position that you're in right now with that responsibility and that blessing. So what was the work that you had to go through to get to this blessing?
Well, I started out when I graduated vet school. I had this major plan, right? Dogs, cats, horses. But plans don't always work out like they're supposed to. I practiced for just a few months and had some family medical issues going on, and I needed more of a structure so you weren't out at midnight pulling cows, right? So I went to work for the United States Department of Agriculture, and where I was working there were a lot of turkeys, and that ended up to be a great blessing for me. After I worked for United States Department of Agriculture, I actually had the opportunity while I was there to work with a program that they were starting, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point, which is a big food safety program that all plants now have to fall under. So I was very fortunate to have that kind of opportunity. When I stopped working with USDA, I had a fun thing in which I went into DC and got to work with a lot of turkeys, and some of them not animals, but did a lot with policy and regulatory, and I was president of the National Turkey Federation, so I was had a lot of fun doing that and learned a lot on regulatory and policy development. And in 2006, I got to come with Butterball LLC. It was when Butterball was first being started as a Butterball company. It had been a brand within ConAgra for years, but with the purchase with the Maxwell's, and at that point it was Smithfield Food, it became Butterball LLC, and I was very fortunate to have that opportunity.
So Frank, what's it been like having Dr. Alice on the team?
She's amazing, absolutely amazing. You've touched on her energy, but the passion you'd also touched on, and that's anytime I hear her speak, that's what I notice about her. Is she's very knowledgeable. Mm-hmm. Smartest person in the room right now, for sure.
Absolutely.
From a Butterball standpoint.
Definitely smarter than me.
But yes, and she knows her subjects very well.
Yeah. So what does a day look like for you at Butterball?
Well, what we do, of course, we always go through and see how everything's running, how the plants are doing, is there anything that we need to be talking about, and then we look at where we are on the farms. And we go out and do a lot of audits on the farms, which we're going to talk about a little bit more, I think, and we look at where we are within those audits and what we need to do to maybe improve things either in the plant or in the farm.
So it's a random question. Was it something specific about turkeys that you fell in love with, or did you fall in love with them just because you spent so much time around turkeys?
You know, it's the plan, right? And it wasn't exactly what my plan was, but I was fortunate in the area I grew up. There were a lot of turkeys, and it just happened that that's where, when I went to the National Turkey Federation, of course, that's what they wanted. They wanted someone dealing with turkey, and because I had the experience from growing up and being within the Department of Agriculture, it kind of just evolved. And
happened.
it's been a great, sometimes plans don't always work out, and Plan B has certainly been good for me.
That's great. I'm glad to hear it. So talking about these audits.
Hey, one of the things that we do, I know you hear this a lot from Frank and Heather, and Butterball, we have certain criteria, we have certain core values. And one of our core values, the Butterball way, is doing the right thing. We do the right thing for our people, the safety of our people, the safety of our products, and the care and well-being of our birds. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the care and well-being of our birds, because we're very proud that we are the only turkey company that has partnered with American Humane and done the American Humane Certification. And we have been in that program for 10 years. And that, we developed the programs, and the criteria for the American Humane is based on scientific criteria that have been peer reviewed. It's not on, well, this is the best practice within the industry. It's here's where the science is, and here's what you need to do. We go through audits every year to get our certification. And I will tell you this year, or in 2024, in half of the year, the auditor, which is a third-party audit, nobody we know, they come in and audit strictly against those science-based peer review criteria. And they went in 443 barns on farms in order to certify Butterball for American Humane. That means all our growers, all the farmers that raise turkeys for us, their farms are certified, as well as the plants that are harvesting the birds, as well as the hatcheries who we contract with to supply us the poults.
That sounds like a lot.
And the audits, you have to make a certain criteria, right?
Yeah.
It's not like pass, fail. You got to be at this criteria. And I'll admit, every once in a while somebody doesn't, and we work with them until we get them up to that standard, because they have to be certified in order to produce for Butterball.
I feel like that's important that you guys actually work with them if they don't meet that standard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a lot of work to help everybody get up and up to the standard. And I will say that our growers, our farmers have been just great. They are proud of what they do. They are good stewards of the environment, and they take care of their birds. And they feel that this certification has helped them to go the next level in caring for their birds.
So Frank, why is that important to your customers?
Oh, absolutely. We've seen the data that how we treat animals has become a much, much bigger platform, much bigger discussion point than just antibiotic use. And so it's something I'm proud of with what we do and how we treat animals. Yes, you're going to harvest them at the end of the growth period, but it's like looking at the dash on somebody's headstone. Oh, they were born here, they died here. But the dash, everything's important about the dash.
Yeah.
And that's, how we treat those animals during the time they're in our care is something I'm real proud of.
Okay. And where are most of your farms or hatcheries? Are they all over the country, in a particular area?
We have close to 600 farms. Most of them are in North Carolina. We also have farms in Arkansas, Missouri, and on the border of Oklahoma.
Oh, wow, that's neat.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
North Carolina is one of the, we go back and forth with Minnesota on being 1 and 2 for turkey production. We're proud of that.
Are you guys number 1 or 2 right now? I have to ask.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Number 1. We'll say number 1.
The numbers will be coming out, for 2024, but we will be 1 or 2.
Awesome.
We always are.
Yeah, well, congrats on that.
Thank you. But on our audits, let me go back, because this is something we're also very proud of. It's the third-party person that comes in, right? We have no control over this person. They come in and they audit. These audits are uploaded into a system within the American Humane Association, and within that system, the audits are recorded. And we have customers that come in and say, hey, we would like to see some of your audit scores. Now, you can get a 200-page of all the audits that are performed. But usually American Humane, we don't have control over what audits are seen. They will go through and randomly pick audits so a customer can see, hey, here's the criteria, here was the score. Now we don't give up the information on the farm location or name of the grower, but you can see the audit. So I think our transparency is great, and we're not afraid to share what we're doing.
Yeah, I feel like today transparency is extremely important, and everybody wants to know what's going on. They want to take a peek behind the curtain, so it's cool that you guys actually share that information. Yeah. So another random question. Are there different types of turkeys that are used for different products that you guys offer?
You want that one? Or you want
Nope, I'll let you.
Well, it's the same breed of turkey. What we do, though, is it depends on how long the turkey is on the ground, right? You've got hens and you've got toms, and the toms are generally what we use for the finishing, the meat birds, right, for your ground turkey, for all the wonderful deli sandwiches that you can have. The hens are usually for the whole birds, what you have for Thanksgiving, right? That's the smaller bird, and they're not grown for as long as the toms are. The toms are generally grown between 19 to 20 weeks, and the hens, depending on what size you want, somewhere between 12 to 15, sometimes 16 weeks.
Okay. And how big do the turkeys get, the toms?
The toms can be anywhere between 48, sometimes we'll get up to 50, depending on what's going on. 45, 48, somewhere in there. And the hens, it's what you want to put in your oven, right? Anywhere between 16, 18 to 20. And of course, you may get bigger, but that's generally where we try to be.
I may have heard you mention that stat someplace else this morning when I was doing my research on you, and I didn't know turkeys got that big.
Turkeys can get big. They're very, very good at eating and converting into muscle and fat.
Yeah. Okay, so talking about antibiotics, you kind of mentioned that earlier. So what is Butterball's policy on that?
As part of the American Humane Certification, there are certain criteria that, again, have been peer-reviewed, science-based, to look at how we use antibiotics. We have to have a very detailed, specific medical plan that is a part of our American Humane program. If we use antibiotics, and unfortunately within the turkey industry, there are only a few antibiotics that we can use. We are not a big industry, and there have not been new turkey antibiotics or medications developed in several decades. So the antibiotics that we do use have to be done under prescription of a veterinarian, and in a lot of cases we will actually take some of the cells from a post-mortem and do a sensitivity so that we know a little bit better about this antibiotic is the one to use. But it is very well controlled. The medicine goes down, it's taken up well within the withdrawal period. We go well beyond where you're required to go for withdrawal. And when I say beyond, that's a little confusing. We do much less. We do much less with feeding the antibiotics or putting it in the water than would be required in some cases, as far as being close to where the birds are processed, so that we're sure that we have evacuated the antibiotic through the system of the bird.
Neat. Frank, do you get a lot of school districts that ask questions about this sort of thing, like antibiotics and?
Much more so over the last couple of years. It's really become a hot topic in K-12. The thing that we are seeing, we talked about the animal care, where I'd really seen that info taking off was at the college and university level. But we're starting to see that. We're getting asked those questions in a K-12 call nowadays. How do you treat your birds? People really want to know, and it's got to be coming from the students because they want to know where their food comes from, how it was treated, and so forth. So we're dealing with a much more better educated customer these days.
So let's play a game. Let's pretend, let's role play. Let's say I'm a food service director and you are you, and you're trying to sell me some turkey. And I say, how do you treat your birds? What's your response?
That gives you the opportunity to talk about the AHC certification. But I always love that question because then you get to expand on all the things that we're doing. Mm-hmm. The thing about antibiotic use, so you got CRAU, Certified Responsible Antibiotic Use. The challenge there is that what we say is that if the birds get sick, we're gonna treat them. Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of like a daycare center. If it's built for 30, picture a daycare center in a poultry house. And chickens, I think they get 65,000 birds in a house. Turkeys, it's somewhere between 5,000 and 7,500, correct?
And on a farm.
On a farm.
A lot of our houses are around 1,600 to 2,000. But one of the things what Frank's bringing up I think is important. In chickens are usually grown for 5 to 6 weeks. So, their exposure to some of the diseases are different than a turkey that's on the, being grown for 14 to 20 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. It's like the older kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go back to that, if you had a daycare center that was built for 30 kids and you have 35 in it, one kid gets sick, they're going to pass it. So it's a function of how many birds you have in a house. If I put 55, 60,000 chickens or 10,000 turkeys in a house, the opportunities for them to pick up a sickness and pass it on is tremendous. Now that same daycare center, if you've only got 15 kids in there, it's a good chance that you'll be able to fight off that contagious period of sickness. And so I think that's, you've got companies that say, yep, we're certified responsible antibiotic use, but they put too many birds in a house. So you're ultimately going to have to give them antibiotics. So I like our AHC because it has a lot more criteria points that we have to hit. And you'd mentioned that we had 600 farmers that grow for us, and in that certification, it was 483 that they went
That we
in.
went at, that just barns alone, yes.
That's impressive because that's more than just a random sampling. That's a big swath.
And remember, from our medical plan, they go through and we have a third-party audit that goes through and makes sure we are meeting our medical plan with looking at when a flock is turning and you see some disease issues coming up, what we're using, how we're using, what's withdrawal, and to be sure that we have the vets involved in a prescription, just like we would get. When your kid goes to the daycare and gets antibiotics for his ears, he has to have a prescription.
How many times a year do you guys get audited? Or is it like a biannual thing, yearly thing, monthly? How often does it happen?
Well, because we have over close to 600 farms, it feels like, I'm sure, for some of the folks that are helping with the audits from the Butterball standpoint, that it's every day. But we generally try to audit, particularly in the Midwest where we have our Thanksgiving birds. We try to audit during that time frame so we know that we're auditing the birds that are the fresh birds going for Thanksgiving. So we'll audit, probably 3 or 4 months out of the year there'll be audits going on. And they randomly pick. We don't say we're going to audit this farm, we get a list from American Humane and they say here are the farms we're going to audit.
Yeah, that's kind of how it has to work.
So
no time to prep.
Yeah, you won't say it's unannounced because they do give you the list about the time they're showing up in the door.
Yeah. Okay. You guys have so much information and knowledge. Are you guys doing anything? Like, do you have like a Butterball Turkey University? Like, how do you guys share this knowledge? Are you doing speaking engagements or breakout sessions at conferences, things on your website? Like, what do you guys do to share?
We're constantly trying to relay the message. With one of the things that COVID taught us is that we can actually talk to each other and not fly across the country. I mean, you can do it on a Zoom call. And so I have seen the activities, and that's really where we can get into the meat of what we do with AHC and all the good things that we're doing in animal care. But it's with technology, it just gives you can get the message out a lot faster.
And one of the things on American Humane, if you look at any of our product in the grocery store, and I am so proud of this, we have the American Humane logo. And it's on all of our products. We have to be certified in order to have that on there. And it actually has underneath our logo, or the American Humane logo, the website where you can go. And if you want to know what that criteria is that we had to meet, again, more transparency, you can click on that, and all of a sudden you're in the middle of turkey welfare like you wouldn't believe.
Oh man, sounds like a huge knowledge dump right there. That'd be a lot, right? So speaking of grocery stores, like what is your favorite, actually not grocery stores in general, but what's your favorite turkey recipe?
You know what, I like ground turkey. And we were talking about turkey tacos, and I'm sitting here going, oh my God, can I get a turkey taco for lunch? I love the ground turkey and all the different things you can do with it. Even I can make turkey chili. I can do turkey tacos. Of course, you always love the big turkey at Thanksgiving. How great is that? But the ground turkey, I think is so versatile. And I do, turkey, bacon, everything.
Yeah.
All turkey all the time.
All turkey all the time. What about you, Frank?
I love the ground product too. When you think about, because I buy a lot, I buy from the grocery store, and we'll get the little 1 pound, ground, but we've got it in a Mexican flavor.
Yeah.
It's real. So we use that a lot, but my favorite is our tenderloin medallions.
Okay.
The items I love to focus on are the ones that are versatile for a food service director. If you can menu one item 12 different ways, we're all winners in that.
What are you seeing right now trending in the turkey world in schools?
Because turkey is naturally, it's loaded with vitamins. We're obviously very, very low in fat product. So I think we're being tasked to offset the pizza and, the fried chicken sandwiches and all that. So turkey really, it's because we don't have to doctor it up much. I mean, turkey's just so wholesome, coming right in the door. A little bit of seasoning goes a long way. Mm-hmm. So I see turkey stepping in to really help offset either a high cost product from somebody else, from another, whether it's beef or pork. So I see us as that vehicle to help them balance out from a financial standpoint, but as well as from a nutritional standpoint. We can offset. The kids they want the fried chicken. They want the Chick-fil-A like sandwiches. Mm-hmm. But we've got to have a good balance, and that's where I see us really, filling that need.
Is there one recipe in particular or one use of turkey in particular that you see districts just losing their minds over?
We partner with School Food Rocks and Chef Joe.
Yeah.
He created a barbacoa recipe for us.
I remember seeing that picture, and I was like, Joe, you got to send me some of this.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And so that's become, anytime we're at a food show, we try to do something along those lines, showing that product, the barbacoa.
Yeah, you guys are pretty innovative, always coming up with new fun solutions that taste delicious. Anything exciting coming up this year?
Bunches. Yeah, we just, so kind of back to the ground turkey, we just introduced 2 new items, a turkey spaghetti sauce and a turkey taco filling. But it's all ground turkey. These items are amazing. And talk about versatility. They can go into multiple menu concepts.
That's great. And you guys do commodity processing?
We do.
You want to touch on that a bit?
Sure. It's something when we started, I think we had 11 items when I first came on board 5 years ago. And we've grown that up to 16 now, and we'll probably add some more in there. But really, there again, I want to focus on fewer items menued multiple ways, and so that's when we tap into a Chef Joe Urban to create those. Hey, let's he's plugged into what's hot, and what's trending in food, and he brings that into K-12 better than anybody I've seen.
Yeah, he's on it for sure. He's done some big things.
Yes.
So what was it like being was it the Turkey Foundation or?
The National Turkey Federation.
National Turkey Federation. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
It was very fun. One of the things that everybody probably gets to see is the turkey pardoning at Thanksgiving. And that was a big part of how we promoted turkey. But yes, it was really good. We did a lot of work. We did a lot of research. And the Turkey Federation was one of the first to say, you need some kind of guidelines. And we put together, now they were industry-based guidelines, but it was one of the first to do that. So the industry has always recognized the need to have guidelines. Within Butterball, we decided to go with the science-based. And we've always thought we needed to be the leader and go beyond industry standards.
So are there things that you can think of that kind of go beyond the industry standard that you guys do right now?
Well, look at what we're doing on American Humane. Again, we're the only turkey company to have that certification. And again, for 10 years, we've been doing that, and it was it was a challenge. We had to push ourselves. It pushed us beyond our comfort level, which is what we need to do. Also in the food safety arena, we're very proactive and do a lot of testing that's not required by the government, but we believe that's what we need to do. Again, our priorities: do the right thing, safety of our people, safety of our product, and health and well-being of our birds.
So obviously you guys are leaders in the industry, and leaders lead, right? So do you see other companies or other organizations starting to follow you, or do they reach out to you for advice, anything like that?
We are we are members of the National Turkey Federation. We have various committees that we sit on, and yes, we do a lot of presentations, and we do a lot of sharing with what we're doing. Again, food safety and the care and well-being of the birds is not competitive. We share all of our information on that because we want everybody to produce safe product and to take care of their birds.
Have you guys ever done any sort of like tours or trainings with schools? Like bring a school district maybe to your facility?
We sure have. That was a North Carolina group. We've done it a few different times. And
So where's my invite?
there you go. We'll make sure you're invited on the next one. You were talking about the size of turkeys earlier, because I'd been around chicken for most of my poultry career and came here, and it's a requirement that we go out and visit the barns and all that. And you walk in with 7,500 turkeys.
Yeah.
They're a lot bigger than chickens, and they won't look at you when you're walking through the house. But you turn around after you've passed them, and all those eyes are staring at you. It's a little eerie. It's a little eerie.
And one of the things I was telling Marlon, we had done a tour. When we do these tours, you have to dress. You have to cover your outside your streetwear. You have to cover your head. And we had one individual that said, "Oh, I'm not worried about my hair." And I just said, "It's not about the hair. It's about our birds." And if you're not willing to follow our biosecurity, we take care of those birds. And one of the big fears is somebody bringing something inside. You have to follow our biosecurity in order to get into our houses.
That's crazy. So can turkeys actually get illnesses from humans?
Not like we think transmissible as such, but carrying something in. At all of our houses, you step into a disinfectant of your boots, right? Because it's what's on the ground, it's what's in the air that can cause the problems.
Cool. So what did that tour look like with the school district? What did you guys do?
That was more of a plant tour. I think they did do a barn tour, but we take them through and show them all, and it ties into the animal care. One of the things that we use is gas stunning instead of electricity, and there's a lot of benefits that the care of the animal, that checks that box for sure. But it also, when you use electricity, and feel free to cut me off and jump in, but it can have some effects on the meat, that electrical charge.
That kind of cooks it in a way.
No, the birds
tenses
will.
it up.
They you may have more blood spots, right?
Gotcha.
But Marlon, you have an invitation anytime you
All
want.
right.
But you're gonna put a hairnet on.
That's fine. I will cover this up gladly, gladly, and I hope Heather heard that. That's cool. So, do you prefer white meat or dark meat? I'm sure you get asked this question all the time.
I do. And, I guess there's been studies that show that males like the dark meat, females like the white meat. Yeah, stereotype me. I like the white meat.
Okay. What about you, Frank?
I like the white meat right as it's been cut on Thanksgiving, when it's still real juicy. But if it sits in the fridge for a week, I'm more of a dark meat person.
Yeah, I'm dark meat too.
Yeah.
definitely dark meat.
Typical, you guys are following the data. Good.
Yeah. So those giant turkey legs that you can get at like theme parks, would that typically be like a tom? Or,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
More than likely, raised to, again, you kind of raise your birds. You don't harvest based on what type of products you're looking for and that type of thing.
Neat. Is there anything that you're excited for this year?
Well, again, we're doing some things on, I feel like that I'm real fortunate to work for Butterball, but the folks that work within Butterball, we're doing some really exciting research that our ownership is allowing us to do. And, sometimes we fail, sometimes it works great. And that type of research, I think I'm excited about what we're doing from an animal care and well-being standpoint. We've got some projects as well as from a food safety standpoint.
Are you allowed to talk about the research, or is that top secret?
Well, we're still kind of in developing. We've done some things looking at how better to bring the birds in through transportation on the trucks, how better to load, how better to make them comfortable when they're in the plant environment. that type thing. And of course, food safety, we're always looking for the next greatest technology that will help make our meat, enhance the safety of our meat.
Cool. So there's a lot of different roles that you do within your current position. So do you prefer like more of like the science-based type stuff or policy and rules? Like what's your jam? What do you like the most?
Well, I like it all. I have some really good scientists that are part of our department, and I'm really fortunate to have those folks. You met one, folks on it. I like dealing with some of the policy. I think is really exciting because we do have the opportunity to talk to folks that are making policy, and it's our responsibility as agriculture to say, this is how we do, to educate people, doing some legislative tours on farms. But people can sit in DC or wherever and say, oh, here's what we think you should do, and they may have no clue how you raise a bird or what's involved, right? And so I think that's really exciting to get in and go and share what we do and say, here's how much corn, you can't cut off corn, you can't, some of the things that people might not think of if they're not knee-deep in a bunch of turkeys.
Yeah, it's very true. Frank, what do you love most about your position currently?
I love K-12.
Yeah.
I got hooked in 1992. My very first, it was really a testing that I was in the pizza business then, and I just remember seeing this one young man, that vibrant, he was a bigger kid, played football and all that, and so I see him in the spring. Yeah, we get our product approved, we win the bid, and then come back in the fall, and we had 2 periods where we launched it and tested that product and did samplings. I saw this kid in September. Same kid, he was one of those you just couldn't forget, and he didn't look healthy. He did hair, everything from hair, fingernails and stuff like that, and I was like, wow, I just thought it might have been an illness. Well, I see him 2 months later while we're kicking this off, and he's back to the kid I saw in the spring. And the common denominator was summer. He didn't eat very well that summer. And I thought, I have found my passion. I found the market that I want to be in. It's because when you're doing something you love and that you're really passionate about, it's really not like work.
That's right. That's right. So you have a history in chicken before turkey, and you know all about pretty much everything, right? So what are some of the biggest differences that you guys could share that you think our audience may want to know when it comes to chicken versus turkey?
Well, the main thing, and it takes longer for sure, but turkey, we're not deep frying turkey, so you take chicken, you put it in a fillet, you put breading on it and you fry it. Turkey, we just don't get to that point, so I think turkey is a much healthier choice.
Yeah.
And some of what we do, we trim their nails. Right?
Really?
Yeah, so they can't scratch each other, right, or scratch themselves. So that when you get your turkey, because as Frank said, you're frying chickens and you might not see some of the blemishes. So we're very careful with how the birds are grow up so that we can help them not hurt each other, right? So that the meat you get isn't scratched or pecked.
Yeah. Man, you guys take a great deal of care. So you said you have up to like how many turkeys in one area at a time?
Well, it depends on the farm. As Frank said, you could have, depending on how many barns you've got, you could have 75 to 10,000 birds on one farm in different houses. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you cut all the nails? Is it like
well,
automation?
when they're young,
okay.
It's like trimming little babies' nails so they don't scratch themselves, right? So when they're coming out of the hatchery, they get their little nails trimmed, and so that they're safe, particularly on the whole birds, so that when you open your Thanksgiving bird, you don't see those scratches.
I never would have thought about that. That's wild. Do you guys...
And some people think that that's not humane, but again, you do it to protect the birds. Yep. And the way it's done is very humane. They just kind of microwave and the nails fall off, right?
Yeah, I don't see what's inhumane about that. I mean, I don't want my meat all cut up or blemished.
Yeah, and you would cut...
It's safe for the turkeys, too.
Yeah, you would cut your kids' nails so they don't scratch themselves or you or anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys use any sort of automation or robotics or anything within your organization?
We do a lot of automation because we found that that's better for the bird as well as for the product. Again, particularly in the plants, the more we handle it, the more possibility of contamination, right? Because you can rinse equipment, you can use disinfectant on it, and we rinse our hands, we wear gloves, we do all that. But the more we can do through automation, the better off we are, because you don't have that. It keeps things moving slowly, and from a food safety perspective, it can enhance the program.
It's kind of funny if you think about it that way. It's almost like humans are the problem in a way. Like we slow things down, we bring in contaminants. Like, yeah, I get it.
Something I wanted to go back to, because I know as a company at our these independent farmers, we went in and put a concrete pad in front of where they would take a tractor. Wanted to get some of the data on that.
We did a couple of $1 million worth because of some of the diseases that were going around. This has been several years ago. And one of the things we realized, we'd always treated things as the farm. You keep the farm, right? And then we realized from some of these diseases, no, it's not the farm. It's going to get harder. It's the individual barn. So, there were concrete pads put out. What we realized, and I think this is just kind of neat how you learn things and you figure things out. They realized when you go in and you till the litter, right? It's kind of like making up the bed. And then you bring that out and you take it to another house and you till. And when they rinse that off, the ground where they rinsed it off was holding any kind of bacteria that could be in there. So they rinse on the pad now so that they can actually clean the pad with disinfectant instead of it being in the ground. So when you run your tiller back through, you're not running through, potential contamination.
You guys are thinking about it all.
That was, and again, we have on our biosecurity, we actually do biosecurity audits, but we have certain booths, certain stations that you walk in, right? You walk in and out. And there are some of all of our young birds, as Frank said, the young kids in a daycare, they will tend to get everything, right? You have to shower in when you go in, and there are clothes on the other side that may not be the most fashionable you've seen, but you put on those clothes in order to go into that house so that you're not taking anything. And if you shower in, if you're going to another farm, you're going to shower out and then shower back in when you go in.
Is it like what you see in the movies where you walk in this room and the smoke or the steam or the water, like the chemicals, like clean you off and then you go through the door?
No, you literally take a shower, right?
Okay.
And then you put on a sweatshirt that, somebody 200 pounds bought. So it's really a fashion statement.
Oh, that's funny. And you said that was a bio audit?
Biosecurity. One of the things we do in order to keep the birds safe is we have biosecurity, just similar to anything, right? To keep people and things out that can make our birds sick. Wild birds, migratory waterfowl, you don't want any of that on your farm. So we do a lot of biosecurity audits. We have some procedures in order to try to keep everybody from any kind of exposure that could be a potential. We have certain protocols for pests and flies because we all know, mosquitoes, flies, beetles can really be a cause of disease. And you got to think you're in shavings and you're on the ground and you've got, how hard is it sometimes to keep flies and beetles out of a home, right? Think about it in a turkey barn.
Yeah. Is there a reason why the turkeys don't look at you whenever you're walking at them? Because you mentioned this earlier, and when you walk past them, they're all looking at you? Is that like...
When you turn around, they're all eyes right on you. But they won't make eye contact as you're walking through the barn. That was the one thing. Chickens, they could care less if you're...
Yeah.
They just get out of your way.
And the turkeys will play with you. Like if you're walking and you got your hands to the side, if you've got a ring on or something, they'll run up and go... And then you turn around and you go back and they're like, so they're really curious and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, are they like that in the wild too, with the whole like eye contact thing or looking straight at you, or is it the same?
I'm not a huge hunter, but I do see a lot of wild turkeys.
Yeah,
they don't really pay much attention to us.
Yeah.
They just get away from you.
Yeah.
I remember my first time seeing a turkey out in the wild. I was mountain biking out by my house. and this giant bird came running across the trail, and it freaked me out because I had never seen a turkey
Oh, my goodness.
in person.
Oh, in person.
In person. It just came out of nowhere. I literally almost fell off my bike.
Stick with us. We can show you a lot of turkeys in person.
I want to see some turkeys. Yeah, I would love to.
And the poults, the day old, one of the things we do that I think is really interesting is you put it's a playpen, right? You have a little cardboard ring that you put, and you put so many birds in that ring, and that bird has a big heater. That ring has a big heater because the little babies will go over here if you're not careful, and over here, and they'll get too warm or too cold. So you have to kind of keep them huddled together for several days so that they can stay warm. And then you eventually start pulling up their little playpens like you do a kid. Okay, kid, you're ready to go explore the world. And then they have the whole house. But, you special waters on the ground, special feed on the ground, just like you do a baby until they're old enough to do something different.
Man, you guys are loving your turkeys like we love babies.
That's right.
How big is a turkey egg?
How big is a turkey egg? It's bigger than a chicken egg. And it's usually, you might see some speckles on it, depends. It usually takes 21 to 28 days total from the time they lay the egg till you get it. And then it'll go into the hatchery, and it stays in a certain area for about 21 days. And there's equipment, again, technology, that will actually rock the egg. To simulate what would happen when the hen would turn the egg around, right? It's just like a baby in the womb getting rocked around, and then they'll pull them out and put them in a hatch after about 21 days, and you'll see the little things going.
Is that a similar period to a chicken egg?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said it's bigger than a chicken egg, but how much bigger? Like twice the size?
Probably twice the size.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. It's-
Okay.
Not as big as an ostrich egg.
Yeah, not.
Yeah,
Bigger than
those
a-
are big.
bigger than-
Those are definitely big. Man, well, you guys have been awesome. I'm curious, what do you do for fun? Because you seem like a lot of fun, and this is a personal question. I just have to know, what are you into?
Well, I love animals. I do horses.
Okay.
We were just talking about some of my horse experiences before we came in here, but I have a farm, and I have some horses, 2 pigs that run around free, a couple of ponies that run around free, some dogs, and all the cats that show up at the barn.
All the cats. It's funny you mentioned that or the barn, because I think I might have told you, Frank, on the last podcast or just in conversation, I'm someone that doesn't really getting my hands dirty. And she's giving me looks already. I hope you guys saw that look. But one of my friends has a farm in Minnesota. And my wife and I went to go spend some time with her and her husband on the farm. And it was the coolest experience that I had that entire year. And I didn't know so much love and care went into raising these animals on a farm. And it was really neat. And after that, I was like, babe, I want to one day get a farm.
Awesome. But for all
Yeah.
the love and care you put in them, they give it back.
They really do. They absolutely do. Frank, what are you into? What do you like to do?
I love to fish, mainly for trout.
Okay.
I'm not a big hunter. We were talking about the wild turkeys, but I see a good bit of them when I'm out fishing.
Yeah.
And completely different bird. The wild turkeys they get the dark feathers, and the ones, it's a breed that we use that it's just like in the chicken industry. It's mostly white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the broad-breasted.
There you go.
And part of that was because you do research. There were bronze birds that were used, and the research showed that the consumer liked the taste of what they call the broad-breasted white bird over the bronze birds or the heritage birds.
Do you guys do school testing too, with students? Turkey?
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah?
we do. Anytime we're allowed. Butterball's been operating in K-12 programs for 40 plus years. And prior to that, it was Carolina turkey
Yeah.
that they did as well, but it was mainly a distributor choice. So with our executive leadership team about 8 years ago decided they wanted to be in K-12. It was good balance. K-12 is it's great business to have because you're not going to have huge margins on your product, but it's the pounds. It's the
volume.
It's the volumes out just unbelievable. So we love K-12, and so we decided to go down that path And I'm real pleased with, even with COVID and supply chain stuff, there's always going to be some headaches. But yeah, I think we're really positioned well with our animal care, with the way we're doing the right things.
Yeah.
Just what we can offer from a product to good protein.
Great protein, not just good. It's great. Yeah. Turkey love like a child. Well, thank you both so much for hanging out with me today. Is there any last words you'd like to tell the audience, people watching right now?
I just appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. And we're going to get you on a turkey farm.
I would absolutely love to do that. I would love that so much.
Yeah, we love the opportunity to tell all the good stuff we're doing. And so we love doing these events, but also being out and doing testings with the kids.
Yeah.
That's ultimately where that's the consumer. You know, if the kid's throwing it in the trash, we're doing something wrong.
Exactly. Well, I'm a huge fan of you guys. The recipes that you guys put out there, and just the overall passion that I see when I watch you guys interact with customers face to face. Like, you guys truly love what you do. You provide a great solution for the districts out there, all great human beings, and I just love being able to call you guys my friends. So sorry, we're friends now. We just met, but now we're friends.
I said we were family when I walked in because
we're family. She said it.
We had
We're
tried to do this so many times, and hurricanes and flu and adventures had caused us to have to cancel this. So it was good to finally meet you in person.
It worked out, and this will be the first of many, I hope.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Marlon.
Yep. And thank you guys for watching.